By the time my husband finally realized his mother was crying wolf, her house was spotless, her reputation was ash, and I was the only one who knew exactly which strings I'd pulled to make her destroy herself. I never wanted revenge. I wanted peace. I wanted Sunday mornings without a knot in my stomach and dinners without my hands shaking under the table. But when you marry a man whose mother thinks you're an intruder instead of family, peace becomes a luxury you can't afford. From the outside, she was perfect. Church lady smile. Fresh baked bread for the neighbors. Facebook posts about loving my baby boy more than life itself. Inside our house, she was a slow, smiling poison. It started small. Comments disguised as concern. You look tired, dear. Are you eating enough? Oh, I forgot you don't know how we do things in this family. Back in my day, wives kept their homes better. My husband, let's call him Mark, never heard it the way I did. When I told him, he'd laugh it off. That's just mom being mom. She doesn't mean anything by it. But she meant everything. When Mark wasn't around, the mask slipped. She'd inspect my cooking like a health inspector. Rearrange my kitchen, because it made more sense. Once, I caught her going through our bedroom drawers. When I asked what she was doing, she didn't even flinch. Making sure my son is taken care of. The first time she really crossed the line was the laundry incident. I came home to find my clothes piled in trash bags by the door. She'd folded Mark's neatly and left mine like they were contaminated. These fabrics aren't appropriate for a married woman, she said calmly. People talk. I remember standing there, heart pounding, realizing something ugly. This wasn't going to stop. It was going to escalate. And no matter how gently I explained it, Mark would never fully believe me. Not his mother. Not the woman who raised him. So I did something impulsive. I stopped defending myself. Instead, I started observing. I noticed how much she cared about appearances. How desperately she needed to be seen as the generous, long-suffering mother. How she thrived on control but panicked at the idea of losing it. And most importantly, how she never thought I was smart enough to notice. That was my opening. The first move was subtle. Almost invisible. I began agreeing with her. Complimenting her. Asking for advice. I played the role she wanted me to be, the insecure, grateful daughter-in-law desperate for approval. She ate it up. Oh, you finally understand, she'd say, smiling like she'd won. What she didn't realize was that every conversation was a map. Every criticism, a pressure point. Every boundary she crossed, a note in my head. Then I started planting seeds. Nothing obvious. Just little truths, slightly twisted. I worry Mark works too hard, I'd say softly. I don't want to stress him with my shortcomings. I hope people don't think I'm a bad wife. I know how important reputation is to you. She'd nod, satisfied, not realizing I was framing her obsession as the standard everyone else would soon measure her by. The real twist came when I learned she'd been telling people I was unstable. That I yelled. That I was ungrateful. That Mark was handling it. I cried that night. Not because it hurt, though it did, but because it confirmed something terrifying and liberating at the same time. She'd already declared war. And I was finally ready to fight back. Quietly. Patiently. With a smile so convincing that even my husband kissed my forehead and told me how proud he was of me for trying harder with Mom. If only he knew what I was really trying. This was just the beginning. By the second month of playing nice, I learned something important. Cruelty gets sloppy when it thinks it's winning. My mother-in-law, let's call her Linda, started relaxing. She stopped hiding the digs. She'd correct me in front of people now. Loudly. Casually. Like it was her right. At a family dinner, she tasted my food and sighed. Well, it's edible. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. That laugh hurt more than anything she'd said before. Mark squeezed my knee under the table, like see? Harmless. That night, I didn't cry. I opened my notes app. Because here's the thing about Linda, she needed an audience. She couldn't just hurt me privately. She needed witnesses. Validation. Proof she was still the matriarch. So I gave her more rope. I started inviting her over more often. Volunteering to host. Asking her to teach me her recipes. I let her correct me, hover over me, nitpick everything. And every time she did, I made sure someone else was around. A neighbor. A cousin. Mark's coworker's wife. I'd lower my voice and say things like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Linda, I didn't realize that was wrong. You're right, I always mess these things up." She loved that. Loved it. What she didn't notice was how the room would go quiet. How people would exchange looks. How the laughter slowly stopped being comfortable. The first crack showed at church. I overheard two women whispering behind me. Not about me, about her. "She's awfully hard on that girl. Doesn't seem very kind, does it?" I almost smiled. But the real escalation happened when Linda crossed into dangerous territory. She started suggesting, very delicately, that Mark shouldn't trust me with money. That I was confused, emotional, too sensitive. One night, she even pulled him aside and said she worried about my stability. Mark told me this like it was nothing. "She's just concerned, babe." Something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not visibly. Just, clean. If she wanted to paint me as unstable, fine. I'd let her believe that was her idea. I began doing small, invisible things. I'd misplace items when she visited. Not valuables, just things she was sure she'd put somewhere. Her keys. Her phone. Once, her glasses. I'd help her search, calm and patient, while she grew flustered. I started gently correcting her memory. "Are you sure you didn't say that? I thought you told me Tuesday, not Wednesday. You don't remember? That's okay." Always soft. Always concerned. She laughed it off at first. Then she stopped laughing. The turning point came at a brunch she hosted. She snapped at me in front of everyone for using the wrong serving spoon. I apologized, eyes down, voice shaking. Then I said, quietly, "I'm sorry. I get nervous when you raise your voice. You forget sometimes." The room froze. Linda stared at me like I'd slapped her. "I do not," she said sharply. "Oh," I replied, instantly apologetic. "I must be mistaken. I've been wrong a lot lately." I could feel it then. The shift. The doubt sliding into the room like smoke. That night, Mark told me his mom seemed off. "Maybe she's just stressed," he said. I nodded. I held his hand. I told him I worried about her too. And for the first time since I'd married into that family, I went to bed feeling something dangerously close to satisfaction. Because Linda still thought she was in control. She had no idea I was already rewriting the story everyone would remember. Linda didn't trust her own house anymore. That wasn't my doing. Not directly. I just encouraged her to listen to herself. She began calling more often. Sometimes twice a day. Sometimes late at night. Her voice would be tight, brittle. "Did I leave my blue cardigan at your place? I swear I put my purse on the counter." "Are you sure I said that?" I always answered calmly. Kindly. Like a worried ally. "If you're stressed, that can happen," I'd say. "You've been doing so much for everyone. Maybe you need to slow down." And the thing about people like Linda? They've spent their whole lives convincing everyone else they're the authority. The moment that authority cracks, even a little, they panic. She started overcompensating. At gatherings, she'd correct herself mid-sentence. Laugh too loudly. Explain things no one questioned. When someone disagreed with her, she'd stiffen like she'd been accused of a crime. Mark noticed. She's been weird, he said one night. Snappy. Forgetful. I leaned my head on his shoulder. I've noticed too, I murmured. I didn't want to say anything. That sentence did more damage than any accusation ever could. Then came the incident with the photos. Linda prided herself on her living room wall, family portraits spanning decades. Perfect smiles. Perfect order. One afternoon while she was in the bathroom, I swapped 2 frames. Just 2. Barely noticeable. She noticed immediately. No, she said, stepping closer. No, that's not right. She moved them back. Then moved them again. Her hands trembled. I know this was different. I tilted my head. Are you sure? It looks the same to me. She stared at me. Hard. Searching for something. For proof. She didn't find it. After that, she started keeping lists. Notes. Reminders. She'd pull them out mid-conversation, double-checking herself. People noticed. They whispered. And then she made a mistake. She accused me. Not directly. Never to my face. But to Mark. He came home angry. Confused. Mom thinks you're messing with her, he said. Like, on purpose. I didn't react right away. I let silence do the work. Then my eyes filled. Just enough. Why would she think that? I asked softly. I've been trying so hard. That was the moment he chose me. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But internally. I saw it happen. He hugged me. Told me she was probably just stressed. That she'd apologize eventually. She never did. Instead, Linda escalated. She started snapping at people who questioned her. Correcting stories aggressively. Interrupting conversations to assert details no one challenged. The more she tried to prove she was fine, the worse it looked. At a family dinner, she lost it over a misplaced casserole dish. You moved it, she snapped at me. I froze. Everyone looked at her. Then at me. I didn't touch it, I said quietly. But it's okay if you're upset. She slammed her hand on the table. Don't talk to me like I'm confused. Silence. I remember thinking, there it is. The mask finally slipping in public. Later that night, Mark apologized to me for her behavior. She's not herself, he said. I don't know what's going on. I told him I was worried. That maybe she needed help. That maybe the pressure of always being perfect had finally caught up to her. I never once said she was cruel. I never once mentioned the years of abuse. I didn't have to. Because now, every sharp word out of her mouth sounded like proof. And the cruelest part? She started treating me better. Compliments. Forced kindness. Gifts I never asked for. She could feel herself slipping and thought niceness would save her. It didn't. Because by then, everyone was watching her too closely. A phone call that came too early in the morning and ended with my hands shaking, not from fear, but from adrenaline. Linda was crying. Not her usual performative sniffles. This was raw, frantic. The kind of crying that comes when someone realizes they've lost control of the room and everyone can see it. She's lying about me, she said into the phone. I know she is. She's turning you all against me. I didn't answer right away. I let her spiral fill the silence. Then I said, gently, who's lying about you? There it was. The pause. The slip. You know who, she snapped. I exhaled slowly, like I was trying not to cry. Linda, why would you say that? She hung up on me. 10 minutes later, Mark's phone rang. She told him everything. That I moved her things. That I gaslit her. That I whispered things to people to make her look bad. That I was manipulative. Calculating. Dangerous. She said she had proof. That was the twist I hadn't expected. Mark came home pale, torn in half. He told me she wanted a family meeting. Everyone. That she was done being quiet. I nodded. Calm. Cooperative. Of course, I said. If that's what she needs. The meeting was at her house. The same house where she'd made me feel small for years. Same living room. Same couch I'd perched on like a guest who overstayed her welcome. But this time, I wasn't alone. His siblings were there. Their spouses. An aunt. Even a neighbor Linda trusted like a diary. Linda stood the whole time. She couldn't sit still. Papers spread out on the coffee table like exhibits in a trial. She started strong. Confident. Listing incidents. Missing items. Strange comments. My tone. Then she showed them her proof. Notes. Lists. Dates. Pages and pages of frantic handwriting. The room went quiet, not in agreement, but in concern. I watched realization flicker across faces. Not she's right, but this is a lot. When she finally turned to me and demanded I explain myself, I did something she didn't expect. I told the truth. Sort of. I'm really sorry you've been feeling like this, I said, voice trembling. I never meant to make you feel unsafe in your own home. Her eyes lit up. So you admit it? I looked at Mark. At the room. I admit I've noticed you've been under a lot of stress. And maybe when you're overwhelmed, things feel more intense. She screamed. Not metaphorically. Actually screamed. Don't you dare talk about me like I'm sick. That was it. That was the moment. Because everyone saw it. The rage. The lack of control. The way she loomed toward me while I stayed seated, shaking, silent. Her sister stood up. Linda, stop. Mark stepped between us. I think we should take a break, someone said. Linda collapsed onto the couch, sobbing, begging them to believe her. Telling them I was destroying her life. No one accused me of anything. Instead, they talked about help. About stress. About seeing someone. About taking a step back. That night, Mark held me and apologized, for doubting me, for not protecting me sooner. I didn't see it, he whispered. I should have seen it. I told him it was okay. That I understood. That his mom needed compassion. And here's the cruelest twist of all. From that day on, Linda stopped abusing me. She barely spoke to me at all. She was afraid of me now. After that night, something in Linda died. Not loudly. Not all at once. Just a slow collapse, like a house losing its foundation while everyone insists the walls still look fine. She stopped calling. When she did speak, it was clipped. Careful. Like every word had to pass through a filter first. She watched me now. Not with contempt, but with fear. And fear does ugly things to people who've built their whole identity on control. Mark thought things were improving. See, he said one morning. She's finally respecting you. I smiled. I kissed his cheek. I didn't correct him. What he didn't see were the invitations that stopped coming. The church committees she quietly stepped down from. The way people spoke to her slower now, softer, like she might crack. The rumors shifted. Not about me anymore. About her. Is Linda okay? She seems fragile. I heard the family's worried. I never confirmed anything. Never denied it either. The real damage came when she tried to claw her power back. She hosted another gathering. Smaller this time. Safer. Or so she thought. I showed up polite, subdued, exactly how she preferred me now. She hovered, tense, trying to perform normalcy. Then she slipped. Someone mentioned how strong I'd been lately. How patient. How understanding. Linda laughed too hard. Well, she has to be, she said. With her issues. The table went silent. I looked down. Let my hands tremble. Said nothing. Mark frowned. What issues? Linda froze. Oh, you know, she said quickly. She gets confused. Emotional. Every eye turned to her. Slowly. Judging. I finally spoke. Quiet. Measured. I didn't realize you still felt that way, I said. I thought we'd moved past that. Her mouth opened. Closed. She stammered. Tried to explain. Tried to backtrack. It didn't matter. Because once someone has been framed as unstable, every attempt to defend themselves looks like proof. She spiraled again after that. Called Mark in tears. Accused me of setting her up. Of manipulating everyone. He listened. Calmly. Then said something I never thought I'd hear. Mom, you need to stop. She screamed at him. That was the last time she ever raised her voice to either of us. After that, she withdrew. Sold the house she'd ruled for decades. Moved closer to her sister. Lost her social circle piece by piece. Not dramatically, quietly. The worst way. I ran into her once at the grocery store. She looked smaller. Older. Careful. She nodded at me. Forced a smile. I smiled back. We never spoke. Sometimes people ask if I feel guilty. If what I did was too cruel. But here's the truth I don't say out loud. I didn't destroy her. I just stopped absorbing her poison and let it leak back into the world. She lived by control. I survived by patience. And in the end, patience won.